If you know the Pretty Girls franchise, then you know what the deal is. You have a bunch of girls, you play mostly Mahjong, mostly, not always, and unlock new clothes for them. But this time we have Pretty Girls Speed, which is similar in a few ways but different in others. For one, you play cards, which initially made me hesitant to support the developers because the Pretty Girls Texas Hold'em game was beyond boring and tedious. Don't get me wrong though, I actually like to play Texas Hold'em, but if a game isn't done right, it can easily go wrong. But this time around, this card game is vastly different. If you don't know how to play Speed, it's actually fairly simple. You and your opponent have their own decks available, and the first to get rid of all their cards wins. You do that by using the cards and order them in the middle of the field. There are already 2 cards in the middle of the field, and you have to match the next or previous number to one of those cards as fast as you can. For example, if there is a 5 on the field, you need a 4 or a 6. Because you have to play as fast as possible, it's a fairly competitive game actually, and you need to have your eyes everywhere and be lightning fast with your reactions, which is a problem I have with the game. The issue lies with me though, and not the game itself. I simply have difficulty keeping my eyes everywhere on the field and react in time, which is also why I am beyond shit when it comes to ego shooters. That's also why, oftentimes, I was simply pressing buttons and hoped that the cards matched. At least until I tried to use both of my hands to press the buttons on the D-pad. That made things vastly easier and certainly more fun to play. Still, sometimes I pressed on random cards and hoped for the best. While I used the D-pad, you can also use the analog stick. Personally though, I think that's far harder. Now, you have a story mode and a challenge mode. The story mode is just you unlocking all 10 girls available, which is quite of a shame that you just unlock them, but no costumes, like in all other Pretty Girls titles. You can take a look at the girls in more detail, and sure, they look quite nice with their big pair of melons, but outside of that, seems like a wasted feature. Challenge mode has you play Speed for 100 levels, and while the first level is pretty easy and the girl is rather slow, they get vastly faster as you progress. But again, you can't unlock anything here. Literally the only thing you can unlock in the whole game are all 10 girls that will appear in the challenge mode randomly, but that's about it. Or did East Asia Soft got rid of the alternative unlockable costumes like swimsuits and whatever to please PlayStation? You know, since the game is also on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and we all know how woke, censor-friendly, and thus ultimately worthless PlayStation now is. If that's the case, then shame on you, East Asia Soft. You are starting to let me down here. Simply make 2 versions if that's the case, one for the woke kiddie version for the appropriate systems, PlayStation, Steam, Xbox and whatever, and one grown-up cultured version for the Switch. But, well, that's about it. There's not much to the game outside of Speed and the Pretty Girls themselves. The game of Speed is actually good and is a lot of fun, and the girls are also good, but the lack of unlockable costumes is rather disappointing.